Hello and welcome back to the 1916 Company. I am your host, Tim Masso. This is Watches Tonight. This evening, summer watches for the first of summer, which is coming this week. We chat live and I share your wrist shots right here tonight on Watches Tonight. Let's take a look in the box. Enrique Casiano, he is the first pizza man checking in from Minnesota in the American Midwest. We also have Watches with Dennis from the Great Plains in Kansas, John N., Smoko, Edward Ledden of Sweden, Rick on Watches, Jim Millett of the UK, A. Charles from New York City, we know him well. Sean Hansen, a longtime friend online. Scott Smith from the ATL and Slowboy Fuel Pump. Happy late birthday, Tim, and I salute you for remembering that. Thank you very much. Troy Kent, we have Mr. Burbing from Seattle, Ordinary 999 from Norway, and Mark S., one of our diehards from Brooklyn. Vince LaFaux, thank you for staying up late with us in continental Europe, in France. And Jens, thanks for doing likewise from Frankfurt. While we're warming up, do me a favor, open up my Instagram, new window, keep me streaming, and check out Tim_Masso on Instagram. I'm doing the 1 minute watch review, and I've got over 2,500 of them at this point, which means you can daisy chain my Instagram for hours on end. It is actually my fastest growing social media platform, and the one where I put the best stuff up. So if you want to see the watches that aren't listed on our website, the really special stuff, check me out, Tim_Masso on Instagram. Okay, Geezer, Ian Sharp from the UK, Scott I from Marion, Pennsylvania, not far away. Faisal joining up, staying up late in Hertz, he is. We have Nate Meyer, howdy from Door County, John L. from Portsmouth Naval Shipyard on the night shift, and Stuart M. from the American Left Coast in Sacramento, California. Tim Mancuso, always a pleasure to see you online or off. Okay, viewer wrist shots number one. Norm M. of LA Pax, his Patek Calatrava sector dial, and Louis-Ulysse Chopard, both bought from the 1916 Company. Thank you for trusting our company. Ted L. and his VC Overseas Dual Time, Spot Godzilla himself, Liran Adam in Japan, very cool. Tarek H. matches the colors of the BMW Roundel to both his cuff and his Patek Calatrava 6007G. Well done, my man. Nicholas M. of Long Island, my homeland, has all the summer's best dockside with his Rolex Yachtmaster. That feels like Gosman's out in Montauk. I don't know if it is, but that's how I imagine it. You got all the right stuff for summer, and it's starting now. Jason L. knocks us dead with a his and hers JLC Duomet, Quantième Lunaire, and a vintage LeCoultre 1921 44314. Guys, send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at thewatchbox.com to see your pieces on these pixels. We are now the 1916 Company, but the old email still works. Ivar, welcome from Miami, Florida. XC4R, welcome from the Bay Area. Diego M, got a question. What are your thoughts on using the term wingspan to describe the width of one's wrist? Love your show, thanks. I think ultimately because the wrist is curved, just measuring it laterally doesn't get the full scope of how a watch is going to wear or fit or how a strap is going to wrap around it. That side-to-side wingspan doesn't always describe the total area covered because the wrist is curved. So I generally use that term wingspan to describe the width of the watch from lug tip to lug tip, whereas the wrist is a little bit more complex. Okay, we got Mike P. joining in from Columbus, Ohio, Celine driver. Saluting my dad all week by wearing only watches I inherited from him upon his passing. Reminds me of how much I miss him. Salute to all you dads out there. And we got Richard Combs from South Florida, longtime friend. Summer watches for fun in 2024. Richard, you often send me summer fun watches because down in South Florida, it is always summer. But it is the season of the sports watch for the rest of us, from divers to pilot watches to drivers and technician watches. All are welcome in the outdoors during the warm months in our northern hemisphere, and that is where we are, so I'm going to be a little bit northern-centric. So anyway, being that we are in the northern hemisphere, for the Antipodean folks, I apologize in advance. Tonight I focus on a few of the best candidates for your wrist between now and mid-September. Let's start with the most ridiculous watch to come out this year. and shockingly, it's from Panerai. Actually, this is completely predictable, but it feels like a throwback to the 2010s when we had watches like the 341 and the PAM 300, which were oversized but with a purpose. This is the Panerai Submersible Elux PAM 1800, and the craziest watch of the year costs $96,300. And this is a Luminor submersible, which means it's a diver, 500 meters. They're going to make 150 of these, but they're going to spread the production over 3 model years. Now, it is 49 millimeters in diameter, which maybe isn't as shocking as the fact that it's made of blue ceramized titanium. That's right, it might look gray, but it's more of a slate blue ceramized titanium, so it can't shatter, but it's got the scratch resistance of ceramic. And no, that's not a graphic on the back, that's actually what the case back looks like. It's not some sort of digital overlay, it actually uses that Tommaso signal green. So the watch is, of course, a Luminor submersible, which means it's a dive watch, but it is a diver unlike any other, as it has 30 minutes of dynamo-powered luminescence. So we've seen luminescent watches from Van Cleef & Arpels using piezoelectrics. We've seen dynamo LEDs driven by mini generators off a barrel from HYT and Debitune, but none of them had the longevity of this 4-barrel monster. Now on the dial you can see dial and bezel are electronically loomed, and there's a little power reserve indicator for the power reserve of the loom. And both the dial and the bezel pearl are electronically lit, which is a first, as far as I know, and probably the first anywhere by anyone. But 30 minutes of luminescence via 4 mainspring barrels. There are 2 separate barrels that give you 72 hours of timepiece power reserve, so if you run down the loom, you will not run down the watch. Now this is a fascinating exercise in shoot-the-moon imagination from Panerai, and frankly, I love it. There are a lot of Panerai watches that seem like they're made a little bit too cheaply and too compromised, whereas this one feels like they pulled out all the stops to do something that's justifiably expensive, but also really fresh and very cool. And if it's like a normal titanium Panerai, it's going to be big and bulky, but it should fit a normal size wrist, at least in the sense that a 49 millimeter electroluminescent watch fits anyone. This is a tool watch in the best sense of the term. It's designed for legibility first and foremost, which is why it's okay to wear it even if it's too big for you. All right, Mason 1, Fergie B joining in from Ireland. Danny Rubin in the box. We got Laurel Lobo asking 4 barrel springs, 6 actually, 4 for the loom, 2 for the time. We got Glenn joining in. Unbelievable, I managed to buy a Datejust. We have David M saying, hi from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is the home of American Collectors Insurance, which among other things has handled my C5 Corvette, which you can sort of see behind me. So that's the C5, and now you can see all 5. We have SE, good evening, Tim. A 2-piece combo of Daytona 116500 LN and 5196J needs a Grail capstone. 5270J or a 5711 1R, which reference would you choose? Don't say both. Easily for me, I go with the Perpetual Calendar Chronograph. That's not even a challenge. You know how much I love complications, and I generally favor dress watches, even though tonight's show is about sports watches. Rick on watches, wear that Panerai in good health, Tim. Yeah, I'll do my best. I don't know. I'm not budgeted for a $100,000 Luminor. And we got Inquisitive Chrono joining in from London, UK, and Dr. Kevin Moore from Bloomington, Indiana. All right, now, Omega. Seamaster Planet Ocean 39.5 millimeters ceramic. False statement. Every Planet Ocean is huge. Not true. Most Planet Oceans are huge. Fact, the best one isn't gigantic. It's 39.5 and it's 45 millimeters lug to lug. The hardware is titanium, the case is ceramic, and it's 14.6 millimeters thick, which is actually pretty good for a Planet Ocean. This is a unisex watch. This is a traditionally sized diver. This is a rare breath of fresh air from Omega watches that tend to be too big and too thick. And with the ceramic case, it's going to age well. Lighter, tougher, just as accurate as the other master chronometers, and just as dive ready as any Planet Ocean, because it's still 600 meters with a helium valve. It's on a rubber strap with a contrasting stitch, a combination that I happen to love, but it's pricey. at $11,200. So used offers a little bit of value here where you can hack a few thousand off of that and you can spend what seems more like appropriate Omega Seamaster money. There's good value here too because of the 5-year warranty. By at 2 or 3 years old, you still have a decent amount of coverage. Let's see what's going on in the box. We got Noyen joining in from Pakistan, staying up so late that it must be morning by now. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm flattered, and we appreciate you. We got Von Krul joining in from Manitoba, Canada. We got Anders joining in with emoji, 24 degrees from London, and Elliot T. Howdy from the great state of Texas, where everything is bigger. Mark S. Tim, who else uses Kinesi movements besides Tudor? Oh, a whole bunch of different companies. Besides Tudor, we have Chanel, we have Breitling, we have Bell & Ross. There's a whole bunch of them now, and the list continues to expand. Kinesi is part of Tudor, but it seems to operate semi-independent in the same sense that Tudor operates semi-independent from Rolex, and they do have quite a long and growing list of clients. Dr. Kevin Moore, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Scuba Tech versus Submariner. I would, but we just do not have time for that tonight, but I will remember it possibly as a topic for our 1916 Company podcast, which I should mention you can watch now. We've added pictures, newly upgraded. It is better than it has ever been. It is on this channel. Grand Seiko, we're going back to Japan. SBGC 249, a 700-piece limited edition in titanium from 2022. Now, this was to celebrate 15 years of the Grand Seiko spring drive chrono. It's 45.3 millimeters in titanium, and because this is Grand Seiko, you are talking about hand-finished titanium. This chronograph is also a GMT, which means it's very, very practical, and it's a great travel companion. You can see it's got a GMT bezel, it's got a chronograph function, a power reserve, it's spring drive, but it's a special spring drive, so it's accurate to 10 seconds a month rather than 15. 100 meters of water resistance, a full bracelet, sign me up, this is a summer sports watch. Dial detail here is ready to do battle with Rolex, and in my opinion, a little bit better. Made with pride in Japan, and truly made by hand, unlike the excellent but mostly machine-made Rolex dials. And remember, as Marty McFly reminded us, all the best stuff is made in Japan. It's not cheap at $12,000, but given that this is an extensively handmade watch inside and out, you get what you pay for from Grand Seiko. You get a handcrafted case and bracelet. You get a handmade dial that is both hand-assembled and the little pieces are hand-finished. Plus, you get a hand-built and hand-regulated spring drive movement that has the accuracy of quartz, but it is entirely driven by the mainspring. There are no batteries, stepper motors, or capacitors. This is an incredible watch, and for 12 grand, you don't get that much handcrafted finery from the Swiss. Keep that in mind. But for twice the price, the Swiss can do incredible things. So Vacheron. The Vacheron Constantin overseas self-winding. I wish they had a better name for this, or they just called it the automatic, but I feel that in this generation of overseas, the automatic is the one to own. I really thought that in the second generation it was the chronograph, now it's the automatic. 41 millimeters in steel. Look, guys, I would love to say that some beloved independent brand offers the best sports watch in this oversubscribed integrated bracelet class, but that would be a lie. Again, this 41 millimeter steel piece, you can get it in other metals, but this is the way to get it. The overseas self-winding is the best value at $25,000 with an 8-year warranty once registered. Now, there's a hot new green dial model this year in rose gold, but it's $60,500, which is too much money for me for a watch this simple. It's well made, it's beautiful, but again, for 25 grand, go with the steel. I still think the brown dial's the best one to buy, but it's long since discontinued, very rare, and already highly collectible. You can still get silver, black, and blue straight from the factory. The features are almost too many to list. Right there, you can see we've got a quick release bracelet. We have a 60-hour power reserve, a movement in-house Geneva seal, both case and caliber, with 5-position adjustment, 60-hour reserve, soft iron ring around the movement, giving it 25,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetism, 150 meters water resistant. That's more than any Aquanaut, that's more than any Nautilus, any Royal Oak offshore, except for the diver. Every link in the bracelet is removable. The bracelet's got 2 micro adjustments built in. This thing is just stacked. And there's an extra rubber strap and a leather strap in the box. They come with their own deploy and clasp if you want to switch it up and put those quick release lugs to good use. That's a lot of value, and the box is a virtual steamer trunk. You get a lot for your money here. This is probably the best. I would say if you want something that runs it awfully close from an Indy, look at the Chapek Antarctique or maybe the Streamliner Center Seconds from Moser. But Vacheron has got the Holy Trinity and Longa pretty much covered with this thing. All right. Tudor Black Bay Chronograph Pink. Let's take a look at the box here. It's a little bit hard to say how many of you are watching because the ticker is a bit slow and it lags the actual audience. But stay with me. I've been away for a week. I want to hit 300 concurrent viewers. That would mean a lot to me. So if you stay with me and we keep rolling, not only will you have more fun watching these watches scroll, but you'll also be able to help me hit a personal goal, which is 300 concurrent viewers in my comeback show. We're up to 246 right now. If you can just find it in your heart to stay with me for the stream, guys, I will be ever so grateful because you are the best audience on YouTube. Really, no one is monitoring or censoring or moderating in any way this chat. We have no moderator on our live stream chat. That's how good this audience is. We have Calvin D saying Tanda Rattrapant is my favorite sports watch right now from Parmigiani. Jim Millett saying we're up to 250, guys, keep it coming. We got Motu saying here's to 300, and Mr. Booney said I'd take Overseas over Royal Oak and Nautilus, and I got to agree with him. All right, guys, Tudor Black Bay Chrono Pink, maybe the most unexpected watch from Tudor since the P01. There's a lot to love. One of the silliest watches here is also one of the best of the year for 2024. It's based on the existing 41mm steel Black Bay Chrono that came out in 2017. The Pink is a J. Cho conceived David Beckham co-branding that looks incredibly fresh and surprisingly successful. Now, pink is the color of Beckham's Inter Miami football club outfit, so he does have some interest here in cross-promoting his soccer club down in Miami, where he's become something of a regional entrepreneur. He's got a lot of interests, everything from clubs to football and beyond. But you can almost taste the color of this dial. This is a pretty saturated strawberry. And I don't know what you're tasting when you look at this. Maybe strawberry, maybe bubblegum, maybe a little bit of both. Use your imagination, guys, perhaps passion fruit. The matte finish, too, is inspired. Giving it an anti-reflective sheen brings out the unusual pink panda. Not pink panther, but pink panda qualities of this dial. This Black Bay also includes a Jubilee-like bracelet for more differentiation. It's a little bit like the bracelet Jubilee-like that was added to the roster of options on the standard Black Bay last year. And frankly, it makes it a bit more refined. Breitling here provides timing. You asked me, who does Canisi serve? Well, Canisi provides movements for the Super Ocean Heritage line, and Breitling provides the MT5813 that is in the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. Now, Tudor does make some changes. They add a 45-minute register instead of Breitling's 30. They go with a free sprung balance instead of Breitling's mobile stud index and eccentric screws. They go with a silicon hairspring instead of the ferrous metal hairspring used on the Breitling. So Tudor does make it their own. They do modifications here, just as Rolex always modified customer calibers back in the day. Tudor always modifies these movements that it brings in. It will be an exclusive watch. They are saying limited production numbers. They're not giving us a number like they did when they launched the all black, starting with 1,181. This we'll never know, but at $5,500, it's not price prohibitive. It's just going to be a very difficult watch to get. This might be the ultimate wait list and know your dealer watch of 2024. And for Pete's sakes, it costs under $6,000. I actually like that. Let's make affordable watches cool. All right, guys, stay with me. Let's try to hit those 300 concurrent viewers. If you stay with me, we can do it. We're going to go look at wrist shots now. Eric O celebrates Father's Day at Lake Tahoe on vacation with his Tudor Black Bay, the US Open on the computer, that you can't quite see it, and a potent potation. Just the way I like it. I love that sailboat in the surf. So cool. Great shot. Maybe the best photo of the night. Mark K and his Santos salute the 1684 clock and tower on Tallinn, Estonia's Church of the Holy Spirit. Very cool. And yes, I think the clock still works. Scott S. doubles up with his limited edition Zenith Chronomaster Sport edition of 100 pieces and a friendly Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter. Guys, let's see where we are right now in the concurrence. We've been as high as 250. We need to get that up. Stay with me and I will keep delivering. Warren P. thinks differently here with our first sighting of the Longines Spirit Bucherer Blue. Underrated value, that company Longines, with the best archive in the business too for extracts. Send your wrist chats to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your watch on this box. I'm going to keep the old-fashioned turns of phrase in circulation in memory of the watch box. We are now the 1916 company. So summer watches for 2024. All right, elite brands don't need to carry serious markups or waiting lists. Some of the best offer fantastic value, or if you're not buying pre-owned, immediate gratification straight out of the boutique. Starting with a watch that I think might be Gesundheit, Garrett, over there on the control board. We're all human beings here. He's keeping me streaming, and you're keeping me online. So, Breguet Musical. This is the Breguet Marine Alarm Musical. The 5547 was part of the 2018 Marine family, 40 millimeters grade 5 titanium. This is both an alarm and a GMT, so you're getting a lot of value. It's well loomed, it's automatic winding. I think alarms are the most useful complication and make a great travel watch when you combine the GMT. It's really pretty perfect. Now the alarm has an on-off switch and there is significant volume, so if you're counting on your watch to wake you up, this one will do it. I don't think a wrist alarm that can't wake you up is practical or worthwhile. This is one of the good ones. Now, solid gold dial. Admittedly, it doesn't look that way, but it is solid gold. It's blued and sunray brushed. It is quite well loomed, and that includes the GMT dial, at least from an hourly perspective, or pardon me, the time of alarm dial right there from an hourly perspective. It has caliber 519F. This came out in the early 2000s. It's a blancpain movement, but a high grade one with finishing that is worthy of a Breguet. Now this Breguet costs $31,900 on a rubber strap, which is probably how I'd get it. But for $3,000 more, you can get it on titanium. So if you want the best value, just get it on the titanium bracelet, put it back in the box, get the rubber strap as an accessory, and then wear it that way, which is how I would wear it. But really, for $3,000, get the titanium bracelet, put it away, wear it on a strap, you'll thank me later. Now, brands are saying all over the place that 30 to 50 meters is now a swimmable watch, Patek, but also this watch makes that 50 meter threshold. So while I ordinarily wouldn't jump wholeheartedly into subsurface aquatics with a 50 meter watch, this should be fine for surface swimming, which makes it a great all-around summer companion. Guys, we are now at 265 concurrent. Keep that number rising. I really want to hit 300. As a comeback show, it's always difficult to make the numbers if I haven't been consistently, consecutively streaming. So that would mean a lot to me. Right here, Madman saying the new 42mm 50 fathoms is perfection in my opinion. And I agree. The Blancpain 50 fathoms is up next in its newest form, reference 5010. Newly 42.3 millimeters in your choice of titanium or rose gold for 2024. I believe it is the best high luxury diver you can buy. Dial and bezel quality remain distinctive and superb. That cambered sapphire on the bezel looks like $1 million more expensive than a flat piece of ceramic, and the dial is upscale in every way, with a fusion of broadsword and syringe hands that I adore. This is one of the plank owners in the dive watch class, having come out in the 1950s, right alongside some of the earliest from Rolex and Breitling and Omega. A very special piece to this day. The caliber 1315 here without the rotor continues with automatic winding, 5 days of power reserve, silicone hairspring, anti-shock free sprung, very durable, 6 position adjustment, one more than a chronometer. And in terms of finish and detailing, this still looks more like a Laurent Ferrier sports watch movement than the actual Laurent Ferrier sports watch movement. $17,000 with a strap, a pin buckle, and a titanium case. I think that's the best way to get this pioneering sports watch. However, a full bracelet in titanium is still under 20 grand at 19,300. There will be examples used. The 5015 is already available used. There are buys to be had if you're shopping 50 Fathoms. But I do think this watch is authentically worth what they're charging new for it. And I do think there's something special about owning a first-year model with the entire duration of warranty and not a nick on the case. They also are smart. They went with satin finished cases on the titanium, so you don't get that big bling look of the old 5015. This is an awesome watch and one of the best of the year. It was worth the wait. So, guys, what's going on in the box here? Mason once said, I think that dial is cleaner than the 5015 without the step dial. That's a good point. That's an important detail. Danny Rubin saying, that's why I mentioned Porsche design before. Titanium chronograph with titanium carbide coating. Always worth remembering for historic reasons. Also, their current merits are worth mentioning. Jim Millett saying, this show should have over 1,000 views, but Tim just doesn't talk Rolex. And there are reasons for that I can't get into, but considering I am live streaming and recording with one hand behind my back from a YouTube watch perspective, I think I do a damn good job. All right, keeping things fresh. We've all heard about that famous brand from Geneva, but what about the one that Swatch Group barely advertises from Glasuta? Stay with me, guys. Let's hit 300 concurrent viewers. Glasuta Original Vintage 70s Chronograph Panorama Date. 40 millimeters in stainless steel, this full bracelet sports chronograph debuted 10 years ago, almost too early to take advantage of the 70s sports watch style trend and the fetish for them that seems to have dawned since about 2019. Fab Green, which is my favorite treatment, arrived in 2022, and by the way, Glasuta Original has its own factory in Pforzheim, Germany, where it makes its dials, so it's not just a movement manufacturer. Last year, a pair of dials arrived, 100 pieces of each, Golden Bay and Ocean Breeze, each of which I find appealing, but appealing rubber straps with deployant clasps are also on offer for those who want a more stripped down look. You get 100-meter water resistance, you get caliber 3702, which is one of the best in-house automatic chronos on the market right now, 70 hours of power reserve, automatic winding, vertical clutch, column wheel, and a power reserve indicator that's on the dial. It's sitting on the sub-register off at 9 o'clock. There's a little swish that turns from white to black and back again. Right above the hands, you can see the hour register for the chronograph. It packs in a lot of information without looking crowded, which is one of its aesthetic high points, and it is well loomed. It's also equipped with, if we can go back to the movement, it has a quirky on-off indicator on the back. There it is. On the back of the watch, it will tell you when you're looking at the case back whether the chrono is on or off. Plus, it's a flyback standard, and every watch that has this movement has the flyback. So, Glasuta's full bracelet price of $15,300 seems incredibly reasonable given their production level, the fact that they are fully integrated, that they even train their own watchmakers, make their own tools, and train their own tool makers. Considering that's less than Rolex Daytona money out of the dealer, I think this is a fantastic buy. Now, it is $14,100 on the rubber strap, but once again, get the bracelet, then buy the strap as an accessory. It's always better value. All right, jumping into the box, see what you guys are saying. We have a comment. The 1315 movement from Blancpain is superbly accurate, solid and accurate from Mason 1. It is an incredibly accurate movement, often to less than a second gained a day and almost indestructible. Right here, we have Patel Philippe joining in from London. We have Mark 22. We got Danny Rubin, Dub saying Swatch's stringent tiering of brands within the group stifles the creativity of the brands, in my opinion. I find they have incredible creativity, they just don't advertise the incredible things they make. And Glasuta is exhibit one of that. Swatch Group, I'm not criticizing your products. Reach out to me. We can do incredible things with promotion. And I'm dirt cheap too. Most of the watches I've ever posted online, I've posted for free. What else is happening, guys? Let's get to 300 concurrent viewers and I will be thrilled. We're almost there now. Keep me streaming. Stay tuned. My old favorite, La Grande Maison, where I started my collecting journey in earnest. Jaeger-LeCoultre, the Geophysic Universal Time. Most of the watches on this list represent current production by their manufacturers, but the Geophysic Universal Time is a discontinued model from a defunct model line, and that's a shame. I'm bringing it back to your attention because it's an awesome complication from an all-time great high horology brand. Launched in 2015, it's a 41.6 millimeter steel or rose gold world timer with a deadbeat center seconds hand. This watch has a dial employing careful lacquering and metal relief and lapping to produce a rich, distinctive, and deeply textured projection of the globe from the North Pole. I told you this would be a Northern Hemisphere-centric episode, and I'm delivering. Again, Antipodean folks, I apologize. JLC employed a movement built for the purpose and rarely, if ever, used elsewhere. The 770 was the deadbeat version, and the 772 was the deadbeat version with universal time. The details show rich attention to clean finish, careful beveling, fire-blued screws, a robust balance architecture, a true sports watch movement, and the free-sprung GyroLab non-annular balance. Take a look, it's two JL logos right there. Cool, right? But it was adopted from the Master Compressor Extreme concept watch of 2007. You can see it right in there on the original Tourbillon. The GyroLab was designed specifically to reduce air friction in a fashion similar to that exploited by de Bethune creative leader Denis Flageolet. But whereas de Bethune watches cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, this Jaeger-LeCoultre features world-class watchmaking that would be ideal for travelers, and pre-owned markets offer this watch at Omega-like prices. Can we go full screen with that, guys? We are talking well under $10,000 for a watch that is JLC, largely handmade, includes an extravagant dial, deadbeat seconds, an exclusive movement, a world timer. This watch is a screaming deal. Guys, many options. What are you waiting for? Buy now. If not from me, from someone else. This is an opportunity, frankly, that doesn't come along terribly often. Frankly, Patek Philippe would not build a better world timer. Viewer wrist shots number 3. Gareth from Hertfordshire, England, reveals a rarely seen Japan edition of a Coke bezel-like Ulysse Nardin diver. Ed K travels with his Grand Seiko SBGY011 by the bamboo shoots of Arashiyama, Kyoto. We have Jeff S. and his Chopard Alpine Eagle Chrono cruising on Father's Day in his Chris Craft Calypso. Boats and blue. What are we going to call this? Watches and water? This is an entirely new theme for us. Henry K. rolls in his classic Honda S2000. Can you believe those are already classic? With the IWC Pilot's Watch Mark 18 Top Gun. Send your shots to Monday mailbag at thewatchbox.com to see your passion in my fashion. All right, summer watches for 2024. School's out for the summer, but our roll call, our honor roll call, continues with Zenith. Probably my second favorite all time behind Jaeger-LeCoultre. This is the Dayfi Revival A3648 diver. This is new for 2024. It's going to be a limited series, a tribute to the 1969 original. And it's always refreshing to see a modern Zenith that's not a chronograph, a huge contraption, or a Rolex clone. This is none of those things. At 37 millimeters in steel, this 1969 re-edition is wonderfully wearable, true to history, and crammed with thoughtful details. The original had a 600-meter rating, so does this. The original had an acrylic cap on the bezel, which had 14 sides. Well, so does this one, only now it is a sapphire cap. It has an off-centered ambidextrous crown. 37 millimeters is the original size. This is very true to history, with a bubble sapphire to look the part. The world does need more orange watches, and this highly faceted case reveals that the Dayfi of our era, not modern Hublot, is the driving force behind the last decade of Dayfi sports watches. So if you go back to the 60s and the 70s, you see the Dayfi had that highly faceted large format case. And that is what's driving our Dayfi today. A lot of people think that LVMH Watch Group watches are all scaled version of Hublot, with Tag being something like an entry price point Hublot, Zenith somewhere in the middle, and then Hublot at the top. The fact is, this Day-Fi shape, which is also the modern Day-Fi shape, goes way back. And there's a modern Zenith Elite caliber inside, and the price is reasonable at $7,700. All right, guys, IWC Ingenieur. 40 millimeters in stainless steel or titanium now, 100 meter water resistance, soft iron movement shield to protect it from magnetism, and the return of Gerald Genta's 1976 Jumbo Ingenieur SL, with case and bracelet design to match. The 1950s inspired Ingenieurs from 2016 to 2022 were sterile, if we're honest, and left IWC's best sports watch design sitting on the bench at a time when it was sorely needed. The green dial model is eye-popping in color and detail. IW fixed its Ingenieur this year by bringing in the redesigned, reprofiled Genta version, and this looks very nice. A tribute in the sense that the 5711 is a continuation of the design of the old 3700. This isn't a retro watch, this is evergreen like a Porsche 911, evolved through the years, and a perfect portrayal of the Genta design. However, I have a conflicted relationship with this watch because I love the way it looks. I think it's the right design direction going back to Genta, and a return to form for the long neglected IWC Ingenieur line. I also think the pricing is very ambitious at $11,700 in steel and $14,600 in titanium. I'll let viewers decide whether this revitalized style, 5-day power reserve, 8-year warranty, and rock-solid summer watch credentials are worth those prices. But just remember, elsewhere in Richemont, the Baume & Mercier Riviera, which also has over half a century of history behind it, this is a 100-meter sports watch in steel with the same 5-day movement, 8-year warranty as the IWC, and you can get it for $3,900. Finally, we have the Dutch-made Grunefeld Delta Works. Of course, Tim and Bart are taking no or very few orders right now, depending on who you ask. And aftermarket availability of the Delta Works seemingly amounts to nothing at this time, so they're either not delivering it or people who get them are keeping them. There's lots of options, though, if you do order, to change dial color, loom color, strap color, and even the inserts on the flanks of the lugs can be color tailored. In most ways, Grunefeld's first sports watch is a larger 1941 Principia. It is a GPHG official nomination, but it has things that the Principia does not have, like a loomed dial and 100-meter water resistance. It's bigger too, at 43.3 millimeters in steel. The Andreas Streller designed but Grunefeld customized automatic movement remains, 56 hours of runtime and beautifully executed. It's a sports watch you can't buy, but if you could, that's from the Grunefeld website, it would be a relatively reasonable $50,000 new. Viewers shots number 4, Jeff. Rocks and rolls with a solid gold, Rolex Daytona, yellow, gold, and green. It's the John Mayer, as they say. Gary R. from Pennsylvania shares his Christian van der Klauw, bought from 1916 at 12,000 feet on Mont Blanc. That's the Ariadne. Jason G. of Texas heads to work with his stunning Grand Seiko Highbeat SLGH 021 limited edition. Gareth Z. makes Blancpain a family affair. And Mark S. sends us home, which, well, guys, that looks like it must be the world's hardest working first-generation Vacheron overseas. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Thanks to you, thanks to Garrett, Time Out, Tim Out. It is good to be back, and thanks for logging on.